So I was praying this morning, and I could kind of feel it in the spirit. I was like, someone's sad. Let me try and cheer them up, which is what I love to do. So we're gonna do a scene. If I was in front of a psychiatrist. Okay, ready? Here we go. Well, I gotta get my motivation. All right. Okay. Okay. So you're Jesus Christ. You're being questioned. People are looking at you with curiosity, but at the same time, they're like, this man is clearly out of his mind. Okay. Standing from the psychiatrist. All right. Okay. And the psychiatrist would say, so, Michael, it says here that you believe you are God and that you I apologize. Are you getting some type of thoughts? Um, well, let me say this. So, I've been through this before. No, I do not have any audio hallucinations in my head, and I don't have any visual hallucinations. I was thinking about it, like, if you define hallucinations, that would be what? Because if you saw it, well, you visually saw something. Otherwise, there would be nothing to really call a hallucination. And the confusing part of that term is, well, if you saw it outside of your head, well, can you see inside your head? Well, Michael, what happens is your mind it can play tricks on you, and there's a scientific term for it when your mind makes you see things. Why would your mind make you see things? Well, people have mental illnesses, Michael, and their mind gets a disease, and it makes them see things, and so your mind makes you see the mountains. Well, your eyes see the mountains, and then it comes back to your brain, and then your brain tells you that they're mountains. Wouldn't it make more sense that you're told they're the term for them is mountains? That your eyes see what your eyes see? If you take your eyes out and you put them on the table, the mountains are still going to be there. You just won't see them. I don't understand what you're saying, Michael. Could you please explain? Yeah. You have a brain, but do you see your brain? Uh, no, you can't see your brain unless you were to take it out of your head and then look at it. Okay. So let's say your brain is in your hand and you're looking at it. Would you still be able to see your brain? Michael, I don't understand. Let's get back to the. Well, I mean, clearly, if your eyes are attached to your brain, you need both, right? So then, if you see something, your eyes see it, and your brain sees it, they're working together, correct? Well, yeah. So, what you're telling me is there's a part of your brain that causes you to see things that aren't there. Well, how would you describe them if they weren't there? Wouldn't your brain have to be able to function enough to describe what you saw? Let's say you saw a pink unicorn. How would you know that it was pink? Or that the shape of it was like a unicorn? How would you know what it was unless you had seen a unicorn before? So let's say that you're in your mind there's a memory of a unicorn, and then for no reason at all it just decides to project it in front of your eyes at that moment. But it doesn't happen all the time. It just periodically or at a certain moment it appeared before your eyes. Then your mind kind of registered it and was like, this is a pink unicorn. And then you told somebody about it, and they were like, okay. Well, in the scripture, it says in the last days, people will have visions. And the community I'm a part of is very focused on God. And there's people that have visions. If they're on TV with millions of people watching them, do they get put into mental facilities? But what I'm really curious about is so my mind is sick, I think is what you're trying to say. And it is, but my mind, it doesn't really have a voice. It just, so you want me, the world's greatest lover, to talk to you about great love. What do you know of great love? Michael, I don't really know where that came from. I don't know. I watched this movie the other day. I thought it was funny. I actually watched it when I was little, and I thought it was an amazing movie because the guy, he basically, he says he's Don Juan DeMarco, and nobody, well, Don Juan, which is a book written by Lord Byron, back in the day, and no one believes him. But when they come into his presence, he absolutely changes their life. And everywhere he goes, things start changing. So I was praying, and I felt like God wanted me to watch that movie to kind of explain a story. There's a story behind the story in the story. Michael, I don't know what that means. Well, it's like a movie, and then the story is the guy gets put into a mental facility. While he's there, he runs into a psychiatrist, and this psychiatrist is absolutely intrigued by him, right? And then the guy is saying these things, and the psychiatrist goes home and starts implementing them because the psychiatrist forgot that he was a great lover too. And the two become friends, and then the guy's mother shows up, and she's like providing evidence that what the guy is saying is true. And there's some people that are saying what he's saying isn't true because they're like, well, this part of the story doesn't corroborate with Lord Byron's version of Don Juan because it's during a more rural period where there's buildings and skyscrapers and things like that. But this guy's absolutely got the story, and he has a way about him, and he has an effect on people. And the psychiatrist finally comes to the conclusion, and he says, "You are Don Juan." So then my question is gonna be, what do you actually know about the human brain? And how can you know anything about its use, function, or the reason it exists unless you know where life comes from, which you don't? Why do you have to breathe oxygen? Well, all animals breathe oxygen, Michael, but let's get back to fish can breathe underwater. I feel like everything I'm saying is making sense. I feel more like what you believe doesn't make sense. Well, what do you believe? We're not here to talk about that, Michael. Okay, well, where's Don Octavio? I don't know if I'm gonna be here. I might as well be entertained. So I'm like, Michael, we're not really getting anywhere. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm saying. It's from a movie. And does it make me crazy to quote a movie? I know exactly where I am. I know exactly what year it is. I know exactly what you want to hear. I know all kinds of things, but I also know the truth. Which would you expect me, being the truthful and spirit-led, faith-driven, righteous man that I am, to choose? Because you've yet to answer any of my questions. So I'll give you the answer. Now, these are 2 lighters, right? They exist. They're in my hands. Tangible, I can feel them. Who says it's not a hallucination? Who says that it's not, they have special effects and things you can do with cameras and videos and things like that? Well, because you can touch it and you can, everybody has lighters, Michael. I mean, you can go to the store and buy them. Okay. Now, if I see something and I'm able to touch it, that makes it not a hallucination. That's your logic. But I saw it. I can describe it to you. Well, your mind gets sick and it degenerates, and then a lot of people have mental illness, Michael. It's nothing to be ashamed of, and so you're clearly convinced I have a mental illness because I live by the Bible and I follow Jesus Christ. Have you ever followed Jesus Christ? Like, have you prayed in the morning and then felt like you should do something or be somewhere at a certain time? Like, is this anywhere familiar to you? And actually did what the Bible said, did what the Gospels said. Have you done that? I feel like we're in 2 different worlds here. So there's the one that is got evidence all behind it that Jesus Christ is God, and that's the one I feel makes a lot of sense. And then there's people lying to themselves. I mean, so for no reason at all, instead of your mind just deteriorating and you forgetting things and forgetting how to basically search for happiness, no reason at all, your mind just decides, I'm going to project a pink unicorn. I would assume if your brain had some type of illness, it would affect breathing functions, movement, a linear thought process of being able to come to conclusions. Oh yeah, I forgot to answer that question because you forgot to ask. No, I'm not a danger to myself. No, I do not feel like harming myself, nor do I feel like harming others. I'm just kind of curious since I'm here. Like, could you explain the whole why your brain decides to like project things that you can see with your eyes instead of doing something else? Like, can we... It just decides that's what it wants to do. That's part of the illness. That there's a pink unicorn illness that just... Oh. Where is Don Octavio? Let me talk to somebody who makes sense. Somebody explain it to me. When it's clearly right there in the Bible. I love you.